Hey, what's up? It's Frank here at the Azure Data Fest in Philadelphia. And look who I ran into. I ran into Karen Lopez,
Hi.
who, so you're data chick on Twitter?
Data check, yeah.
Okay, so CHICK.
That's right.
Got it. So, you work on a lot of interesting things. You used to live in DC. You probably
Yep.
can't talk about what you did in DC, but I mean, talk about Data Knots or
Okay.
whatever, because I
All
thought
right.
Data Knots is pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I think Data
And I
Knots
don't
is
mean
it.
the kids' TV show
Yeah.
with the little underwater thing. My
Yeah.
kids love that.
Yeah. So I'm a mentor in the NASA Data Knots program. And the NASA Data Knots program has an open intake of people who want to learn how to work with tools and NASA open data. So we work with things like analyzing exoplanets, doing sonification of data, doing metadata analysis. I can't think of all the fun projects. Sometimes
Well,
it's even art.
How about the sonification of data?
Yeah.
Because that's pretty interesting. I know you explained it to me,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, I'm
it's really
still
cool.
trying to learn. So the sonification of data is, if you've heard about data visualization, this is data with sound. So turning data into sounds to see how people can analyze it instead of looking at it visually, but by hearing it and hearing anomalies or getting alerts, and what's the best way to present data as a sound so that people can use another sense to interpret and react to that data.
Interesting, interesting. So, your talk was on the data catalog.
Yeah, the Azure Data Catalog, which is a fairly new service that allows you to point an Azure service at data sources that are SQL Server, DB2, Oracle, Hive, Hadoop, Teradata, Salesforce, and it sort of reverse engineers the items in those data sources and allows you to see the metadata, write definitions, add tags, basically crowdsource instead of relying on a team of data architects. Crowdsource the annotation and the enrichment of metadata around your data sources so you can solve the problem that, say, data scientists have, where 80% of their time, 4 days a week, is spent sourcing data, prepping data, and cleaning data.
And they only get to do the fun stuff on Fridays, which is somehow fitting.
No, they have to do their work on Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fun stuff from the
Oh,
work, not like the cleaning of the
the
data. but
sciencey data
Yeah, the
stuff.
20% that's not the 80% of
Yeah.
garbage collection.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said something hilarious in your talk.
Oh, did
At
I?
least from a developer's point of view. So
Yeah.
my background is, as you people who watch the show listen, they know I'm a software engineer, right? So I always thought of those data people. And you said something very funny that the developers used address line 4
Yes.
as a field for rather, I wouldn't say sensitive, but embarrassing data
Yeah.
for the company because they were afraid to talk to the database
Yeah.
administrator to add a field.
So they felt that data architects and data modelers and database administrators were too slow in reacting, and they had some data, let's say, that wasn't in the best interest of their partner relationships that they wanted to store in the database. So they went and found address line 4 as a column in the database that didn't have a lot of use, and it was a very wide field. I call these temptation buckets, where if you make your columns too wide, people are tempted. It's like an attractive nuisance, swimming pools are in
Right.
legal terms. They started putting this data in there because address line 4 wasn't really used, and they could hide the data in there and access it. Well, what happened is they got a new accounts payable system that then printed address line 4 on the checks and therefore on the envelopes that they were using to send checks, and that disclosed the sensitive data to the vendors who they had denied that data existed.
Right, and it was basically about, well, it was
Yeah.
funny. It was very funny. But I think it speaks to is that historically developers and database people have not gotten along.
Yeah, well, we're compensated differently. We are compensated. Developers tend to be measured, compensated, rewarded, and punished based on how fast they can get a solution, time to market.
That's true.
And that's a big pressure for businesses. Whereas data folks, we're usually measured, compensated, rewarded, and punished based on data quality and good data practices, since data lasts longer than code. And those two ways that the business manages us are in direct conflict with each other.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that because that kind of the system is gamed to create that
Yeah.
that
It's a
antagonistic
conflict.
relationship.
It's a conflict. Like, I get along with my devs, but
Right.
we are literally being paid to do opposite things.
Interesting. Well, no, I've worked with DBAs that in
Yeah.
the past that anytime you asked them a question was no. So
Yeah.
you never asked them because
That's
it was
what
no.
DBA stands for. Don't bother asking.
I like that. I like that. No, some of my good friends are DBAs,
Yeah,
and
mentor.
you know they're nice people, but
Yeah.
like you know I you know and sometimes that saying no is warranted because I had
Yeah.
it was a consulting gig a while back, and I had a pointy-haired boss in the corner that was basically demanding we do some quick hack. DBA is like no. No, no, no,
That's
no,
right.
no. I was pissed off
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but you know, like a day later, I'm like, yeah, you know what, that was the right thing because by the time that problem would have surfaced, the pointy-haired boss would have moved on, probably
Yep.
been promoted because he
Yep.
was super smooth, and then there would have been a huge mess, and they would have figured out, you know,
Yep.
who said yes to that request, and then who made the request, not the guy who had was
Yep.
driving the whip and saying
That's
you
right.
have to make that change.
Yeah, yeah. So I call that designing in technical debt.
Yeah.
And those are the words I use as a data person trying to convince people not to take a course of action is why are we designing in technical debt? And with data, sometimes that technical debt can never be undone. So like a typical technical debt, some people believe that having fewer columns makes a database perform faster. It doesn't. If you're putting the same data in the same amount of columns, it'll actually make it slower because you have to keep trying to split out data. And in one example, I had a team put all the person's names together in one column.
Oh.
So given name and middle names and family
And that's
names.
a pain to take apart.
You can't. You literally cannot do it with any level of confidence. Like you think you can, and you can't. So
Well, you could do it. It'll just be filled with errors.
yeah,
Like my
Well, that-
name, La Vinya. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many things that they call me La or just Vinya.
yeah. But what if
you
your
know.
name's Mary Ann and then another person's name is Mary and a middle name is Ann? You'll
Right.
never be able to split that off accurately.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
and then we're also very used to, a lot of us are used to very North Americanized names,
Right.
and we don't realize all the sort of weird to us things that happen in other names and vice versa. So
Right.
once you combine names, you literally, it's never worth that price.
No, that's true. That's true.
As a persistence thing, as a report thing, do it. Because
Right,
we never
right.
need to sort it out. You might not be able to sort things you want to, but we still have the regular data that we could bring in again.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Are the same people that said that the less columns in a table makes it go faster? Are they the same people that would say if you saved your Word files in a really small font, it would take up less space on disk?
Yes, exact same people. In fact, I worked with a senior architect who actually made me do that to try to make documents smaller.
No.
Smaller fonts, smaller diagrams.
That's like a
ridiculous.
Dilbert joke,
Yeah.
but it's real. Oh my!
It's real world.
That's what's the thing with Dilbert, right? It gets so real at times. It's actually
Yep.
ceases. It's funny because it's true, but then it ceases to become funny and become more scary because
Yeah.
oh my God, that has actually happened.
Yeah. The other thing that makes databases go faster is there's a secret flag that you can set that no one will tell you.
I like that. So it's secret. So it's like can't
If
tell
I
you.
told you, I'd have to kill you.
Yeah, there you go. Which so you cover a lot of stuff for NASA.
I do.
So is rocket science like data science, or is data science like rocket science?
Yes.
Cool.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, there you go. Where can people find out more about what you're up to and your blog and your Twitter handle?
So on Twitter, I'm DataChick, and I blog at datamodel.com. All is one word. I also blog at some other places, but mostly I'm on social media and Twitter. That's my thing.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming by, and you have a good day.